The wire transfer request came through at 6:47 a.m. while I was reviewing acquisition reports from our London office. Dad, need $2 million for the Miami property closing. Transfer to the usual account by 3 p.m.? Thanks, sweetheart. I stared at the message, my coffee cooling beside my keyboard. $2 million. The 9th loan this year, none of which had been repaid. The text didn't ask, it assumed. It always assumed. My family thought I ran a small online boutique selling handmade jewelry. Something quaint I did from my apartment, making enough to live on but nothing substantial. The reality. I was Sienna Castellano, founder and CEO of Castellano Global Investments, a private equity firm that had quietly built a $23 billion portfolio across manufacturing, technology, and commercial real estate. At 34, I was one of the youngest self-made billionaires in the country, with a personal net worth of $4.7 billion. But I'd let them think I sold artisan bracelets online. It started 5 years ago when my brother Marco discovered one of my smaller business accounts during a family dinner where I'd carelessly left my laptop open. He saw a balance of $3.2 million and assumed it was my entire life savings from years of frugal living. Sienna's been so smart with money, my mother had told everyone. Living in that tiny apartment, never spending on herself. Look how much she's saved. Since then, they'd been systematically draining it. Just $100,000 for the down payment on Marco's second property. Only $500,000 to help Dad's development deal go through. We need $1.5 million for Mom's boutique hotel investment. Always framed as temporary loans. Never repaid. Always with the same justification. We're building the family empire. You'll benefit eventually. I transferred the $2 million and made a call. Richard at Sienna. Add this to the documentation. Richard Torres was my personal attorney and one of the few people who knew my real financial position. That brings the total to $18.7 million over 5 years. Sienna, this is systematic exploitation. I know. Keep documenting. Every transfer, every text, every voicemail. What's your endgame here? I'm waiting to see if there's a limit. If they'll ever stop taking. Spoiler, there wasn't. The family empire my parents and brother were building was funded almost entirely by me. They just didn't know it. Marco owned 4 rental properties in different cities. Mom had opened a luxury boutique hotel in Tuscany. Dad was developing a commercial complex in downtown Seattle. They drove Range Rovers, vacationed in St. Tropez, and belonged to 3 different country clubs. And they pitted me. Poor Sienna. I'd heard my mother tell her friends at a charity luncheon I'd attended. Still making those little jewelry pieces. We keep telling her to think bigger, but she's content with her modest life. At least she's finally saved some money, even if she does have to keep loaning it to us. My brother was worse. Sienna's lifestyle is so simple, he told his real estate investor friends at last Christmas. She could never handle the complexity of real property management. That's why she sticks to her craft business. Some people just aren't built for high-level finance. I'd smiled politely and excused myself to take a call from Deutsche Bank CEO about our potential joint venture. Now 3 days after the latest $2 million transfer, my mother called. Darling, wonderful news. Your father and I are hosting a dinner party Saturday night. Very important guests. The mayor, several city council members, and Klaus Weber from Deutsche Bank. He's considering financing our Seattle development. Klaus Weber. I knew Klaus well. We'd served on 2 advisory boards together. Last month, we'd had dinner in Frankfurt discussing a potential partnership between Deutsche Bank and Castellano Global. That's nice, Mom. We'd love for you to come, but... She paused delicately. It's going to be a very sophisticated crowd. Business leaders, investors. Perhaps it would be more comfortable for you to skip this one? We wouldn't want you feeling out of place. You're uninviting me from a family dinner? It's not personal, sweetheart. It's just that the conversation will be about high finance, major deals. Your jewelry business is lovely, but it's not really the same level. We don't want you feeling inadequate. I looked at my computer screen where I was reviewing a $340 million acquisition of a German manufacturing company. I see. You understand, don't you? This is crucial for the family business. We can't have any distractions. Of course. I understand perfectly. I hung up and called Klaus Weber directly. Klaus, it's Sienna Castellano. Sienna. I was just reviewing the partnership proposal. Excellent work. Your team's analysis is very thorough. Thank you. I have an unusual request. Are you still planning to attend a dinner at the Castellano residence this Saturday? Yes, your father invited me. He's seeking financing for a development project. I'd like to attend that dinner. As your guest. There was a pause. Your father's dinner? Sienna, I don't understand. Aren't you family? It's complicated. They don't know about Castellano Global. They think I run a small online jewelry business. Silence. Then, you're joking. I'm not. They've been borrowing money from what they think is my small savings account. They have no idea I'm a billionaire. Mein Gott. How is this possible? I kept my professional life private. They made assumptions. And now they've uninvited me from a family dinner because they're embarrassed by my small business. Klaus laughed, a deep, genuinely amused sound. Oh, this is too perfect. Yes, I will bring you as my guest. And Sienna, I think it's time your family learned the truth. Saturday evening I dressed carefully. A charcoal Armani suit, Louboutin heels, hair pulled back in a sleek bun. I looked exactly like what I was. A billionaire CEO attending a business dinner. Klaus picked me up in his car, a Mercedes S-Class with driver. I've been looking forward to this all week, he said, grinning. Your father has been very persistent about the financing. He has no idea he's been funding his pitch with his daughter's money. $18.7 million of my money, to be precise. And he doesn't know you could buy his entire development project with your quarterly earnings? No idea whatsoever. We pulled up to my parents' estate, a sprawling property in the suburbs they'd purchased 2 years ago with a $1.3 million loan from me. The circular driveway was already filled with expensive cars. My mother answered the door in a designer gown, her smile freezing when she saw me. Sienna, what are you doing here? I told you this wasn't appropriate. Mrs. Castellano, Klaus said smoothly, stepping forward. I hope you don't mind, but I brought a colleague. May I introduce Sienna Castellano, CEO of Castellano Global Investments. My mother's face went blank with confusion. CEO? Klaus, this is my daughter. She makes jewelry. No, Klaus said pleasantly. She manages a $23 billion investment portfolio. We're currently negotiating a major partnership between Deutsche Bank and her firm. My father appeared, looking between Klaus and me with dawning alarm. What's going on? Mr. Castellano, I believe there's been a misunderstanding about your daughter's profession. Klaus's tone was perfectly cordial. Shall we discuss this inside? I'm very eager to hear more about your development project, and how it compares to Sienna's real estate holdings. We walked into the living room where a dozen guests were already assembled. The mayor, 3 city council members, several prominent developers, and my brother Marco with his wife. Marco's face went from confusion to something like panic when he saw me in a business suit, arriving with Klaus Weber. Everyone, my father said, his voice strained, this is Klaus Weber from Deutsche Bank and my daughter Sienna. Actually, Klaus interrupted, let me do proper introductions. This is Sienna Castellano, founder and CEO of Castellano Global Investments. Sienna, you know most of these people from industry events, yes? I scanned the room and nodded at several faces I recognized from business conferences and investment summits. Their expressions shifted from polite interest to shock as they recognized me. The mayor stepped forward. Ms. Castellano, I didn't realize, you're the Castellano Global CEO? I've read about your firm. That acquisition of the Meridian building downtown last year was brilliant. Thank you, Mayor. A city council member I'd met at an economic development forum spoke up. We've been trying to get Castellano Global interested in our municipal projects for months. I had no idea you were a local resident. My mother grabbed my arm, her voice a whisper. Sienna, what is happening? What is Klaus talking about? I run an investment firm, Mom. I have for 10 years. We manage about $23 billion in assets across multiple sectors. That's impossible. You sell jewelry online. I've never sold jewelry. You assumed that's what I did because I work from home and don't discuss my business with family. My father's face had gone red. This is ridiculous. Sienna, stop this nonsense. You're embarrassing yourself in front of important people. Klaus opened his briefcase and pulled out a folder. Mr. Castellano, perhaps this will clarify. These are the incorporation documents for Castellano Global Investments, showing Sienna as founder and CEO. Here are the last 3 years of audited financial statements. And these, he spread several documents across the coffee table, are wire transfer records showing that your daughter has provided your family with $18.7 million over the past 5 years. The room went utterly silent. Marco stepped forward, his face pale. That's not possible. Sienna has savings, yeah, but she can't be a billionaire? Klaus finished. Actually, according to the most recent valuation, Sienna's personal net worth is approximately $4.7 billion. The account you've been borrowing from represents less than 1% of her liquid assets. My mother collapsed into a chair. This can't be real. It's very real, I said quietly. I founded Castellano Global when I was 24. I built it from a $50,000 investment into a multi-billion-dollar portfolio. I've acquired companies, developed properties, invested in startups. And for the past 5 years, I've watched my family drain what you thought was my life savings to fund your empire, while pitying me for my small, simple life. The mayor looked at my father with undisguised shock. You've been borrowing millions from your billionaire daughter while she, pretended to be poor? I never pretended anything, I corrected. I simply didn't advertise my success. They made assumptions and never asked questions. Klaus was clearly enjoying himself. Mr. Castellano, about your development project. You're seeking $15 million in financing from Deutsche Bank, correct? Yes, but I'm afraid I can't approve that. Not when I've just learned you've been systematically taking money from your daughter under false pretenses. It raises serious questions about your financial ethics. My father's face went from red to ashen. Klaus, please. This is a misunderstanding. Is it? Your daughter provided you with nearly $19 million, which you've never repaid. Money you positioned as temporary loans while knowing you had no means to repay them. That's not a misunderstanding. That's fraud. A city council member stood. I think we should leave. This is clearly a family matter. No, I said firmly. Please stay. You all came here tonight to discuss business with my family. You should know who you're doing business with. I pulled out my own folder, the one Richard had prepared. These are documented records of every loan my family requested. Text messages where they promised repayment after the next deal closes. Voicemails where they assured me this was temporary. Emails where they outlined their plans to build a real estate empire with my money. I looked at my brother. Marco, you own 4 properties worth a combined $8.3 million. Every down payment came from me. You've never made a single payment to your investor. Marco couldn't meet my eyes. Mom, your boutique hotel in Tuscany. The $2.4 million you needed for renovations? That was mine. The furnishings, the marketing, the staff salaries for the first year. All funded by the daughter whose simple jewelry business you found so charmingly quaint. My mother was crying silently. And Dad, your Seattle development that you're here pitching tonight? The land purchase, the architectural fees, the permit costs. I funded all of it. With money you believed was my entire life savings. The room was suffocating in its silence. Klaus spoke carefully. Sienna, what do you want from this? I want them to understand what they did. They didn't just borrow money, they took what they believed was everything I had. They thought they were draining my life savings, leaving me with nothing, and they did it without hesitation because they believed I was too small, too simple, too unsuccessful to matter. I turned to my family. You pitted me while spending my money. You excluded me from this dinner because you were embarrassed by my low-level business. You used me as a cautionary tale while building an empire on my billions. My father found his voice broken and desperate. Sienna, we didn't know. You didn't ask. That's worse. We'll pay you back. Every cent. With interest. With what? Klaus just pulled your financing. Your properties are mortgaged. You're leveraged beyond your means. You can't pay me back because you built everything on a foundation of my money and your assumptions. Marco stepped forward. What do you want from us? You're a billionaire. That $18 million is nothing to you. It's not about the money. My voice cracked. It's about what you were willing to do to someone you thought was struggling. You believed you were taking everything from your daughter, your sister, and you did it anyway because your empire mattered more than my future. Klaus cleared his throat. Mr. Castellano, Mrs. Castellano, I'm formally withdrawing Deutsche Bank's consideration of your project. Furthermore, I'll be sharing this situation with other financial institutions. Your treatment of a family member who is also one of the most respected investors in the country raises serious ethical concerns. The guests began filing out, several stopping to shake my hand, to request meetings, to distance themselves from my family's now toxic reputation. When the last guest had left, my family stood alone in their expensively furnished living room, furnished with my money, looking small and broken. What happens now? My mother whispered. Now. I picked up my bag. Now you face the consequences. Klaus will inform the financial community. Your reputation is destroyed. Your financing is gone. And you'll learn what it's like to build something without using other people's money. Sienna, please. My father started. I loved you enough to give you millions. You loved your empire more than you loved me. That's the choice you made. I walked out, leaving them in the ruins of the party, the ruins of their empire, the ruins of their understanding of who I was. Klaus was waiting by the car. That was difficult. Necessary. What will you do now? Go back to running my company. Without them. He nodded. For what it's worth, you're one of the strongest people I know. Building what you built and doing it while your own family tried to drain you? That takes extraordinary strength. Or extraordinary stupidity. No. Strength. And now they know it too. 6 months later, Marco lost 3 of his 4 properties to foreclosure. Mom's hotel barely broke even without my financial backing. Dad's development project collapsed entirely. They blamed me completely. The emails and voicemails were vicious. You destroyed this family over pride. We raised you and this is how you repay us? What kind of daughter does this to her parents? I never responded. The business community, however, responded differently. Word spread about how I'd built a billion-dollar empire while my family parasitically drained millions. Forbes ran a feature. The billionaire they didn't see coming. How Sienna Castellano built an empire in plain sight. My company thrived. New partnerships. Major acquisitions. My net worth crossed $6 billion. And my family? They learned that success isn't measured by what you can take from others. It's measured by what you can build yourself. I'd built everything. They'd built nothing but a facade. And when I pulled my support, the facade crumbled. Because that's what happens to empires built on borrowed billions. They collapse. And the lender walks away.